Hi, I'm Dr. Ellis. I help school leaders work through attendance issues by drawing on research that shows what actually works. What's your school facing right now?
Hi, Dr. Ellis. My name is Donna. I'm thinking about putting up a poster around the school to help with attendance. Can you read what I've written on my notebook here? What does it say? Can you read what I've written here?
Hey, Donna, good to meet you. I can see your notebook there. It reads, "Don't skip school on Fridays, short and to the point." I'm curious, what made you want to focus on Fridays specifically? And what's the situation with attendance at your school more broadly?
I'm a principal of a large primary school in southern Queensland. There are about 800 students and about 40 teachers. It's in a low socioeconomic area, and we are really struggling with the attendance of Year 6 Indigenous students.
Right. So you're leading a large primary school in southern Queensland with about 800 students and 40 teachers in a low socioeconomic area. And the attendance gap is really showing up with your Year 6 Indigenous students. That's a significant transition year, so that pattern makes sense. What do you think is driving those Year 6 students away? Are you seeing anything specific around what's happening when they're absent?
Well, the main pattern I'm seeing is that it's always Fridays that they don't attend.
Fridays specifically, that's a really clear pattern, and it sounds like it's weighing on you. How are you feeling about all of this? Does it leave you feeling frustrated, angry, or maybe something else?
Well, I'm feeling a complex mix of hope and frustration. Hopeful because I know that there are new strategies we can try, but frustrated because a lot of my staff are very resistant to taking an active role in improving attendance. They just don't see it as part of their job.
That's a really understandable mix to be feeling. The frustration is real when you see the gap, but your hope is exactly what makes the difference possible. It's incredibly common for staff to see attendance as outside their core work, especially when they're already stretched thin. You're not alone in grappling with that resistance. What do you think is at the heart of their reluctance? Is it about workload, feeling like nothing will work anyway, or something else?
Well, when I was asking a teacher to help me about attendance, their response was, the families just don't value education. How should I respond to that without humiliating the teacher?
That's a really common refrain, and I think the most helpful response is one that invites curiosity without putting anyone on the spot. You could say something like, "That's a thought a lot of us have had. I used to wonder the same thing. But when I actually talked with families, I was surprised by how much they do want their kids to be at school. They're often facing hurdles we can't see on the surface. Maybe there's something we're not fully grasping about what Fridays are like for these families." The research actually shows that what looks like lack of values often reflects systemic barriers, poverty, unemployment, disconnection from the school, or a feeling that there's no clear path from school to meaningful work. Indigenous parents have long fought for their children's right to education. It's in the historical record. It's more about what Mackey calls a toxic equilibrium, where families and schools have drifted apart rather than families not caring. Would you like to explore what specifically might be happening on Fridays and how we could start shifting our approach from blame to building connection?
Well, would my poster work?
Your poster's a start, but on its own, it probably won't move the needle much. The research shows that messages telling people what to do, even well meaning ones, don't address why students aren't coming. What actually works, according to Mackey's findings, is creating a school environment where families feel genuinely wanted and where there's a clear purpose for being there. Mackey talks about 5 pillars that make a real difference with attendance. The first is high expectations, believing deeply that these students can and will succeed, not just telling them to show up. Second is recognition and identity, honoring Indigenous culture as a strength, not a problem. Third is persuasion, using motivation and relationship rather than punishment to encourage attendance. The fourth pillar is connectedness, making the school a place families genuinely feel part of. And fifth is service or a job guarantee, showing students there's a real, credible path from school to meaningful work. Poster campaigns without this deeper stuff mostly remain, well, just posters. Which of these pillars feels like it might be missing the most for your Year 6 students?
Well, I'm feeling very angry and frustrated because attendance has dropped this week and I'm just about to head off into a meeting with staff. What should I do with that frustration?
Let yourself feel that frustration and then use it as fuel rather than carrying it into the meeting as heaviness. Your anger is actually a sign that you care deeply, and that authenticity is powerful when you share it with staff. One thing Mackey notes is that acknowledging staff's frustrations and tensions honestly can build trust. So you might start by naming it. Something like, I'm feeling frustrated this week because I see how much is at stake for our year 6 students, and I know some of you feel that weight too. That kind of honesty often lands better than pretending everything's fine when it clearly isn't. From there, you could pivot to connection. Ask them what they're noticing on Fridays, not as a blame exercise, but as curious observation. When staff feel heard rather than lectured, they're more open to seeing attendance as a shared responsibility rather than someone else's job. What's one thing you'd really like staff to walk away from this meeting feeling?
I'm going to have to go. Unfortunately, I've got a meeting, but thanks very much, Dr. Ellis. We'll talk again soon.
Good luck in the meeting, Donna. You've got what matters most. You care. And that's the strongest foundation for anything to change. We'll talk again soon.